So, you know, I am a day late to playing this game. Because, you know, every fucking streamer and their mother has already played this game for 2 days now. I really don't care. But, you know, shout out to the little brother who fucking, you know, got me this game, basically pre-ordered it for me for my birthday a while back. You know, I got the metallic case and all that fun stuff. But anyways, I haven't even, as you can see, I haven't even gotten into all this crap. I haven't even gotten to read through blah blah blah. I'm not reading all this shit. I'm not gonna read entire paragraphs of crap. Come on. Oh, come on, man. What? Turns your ears. Yeah, we get it. You have a hardcore anti-cheat system for once. Fucking amazing. So special. Alright. Barely visible, easily visible. Actually, I can see the other one though, but if I go like this, I can't see the middle one. Alright, we'll do that. Hopefully I don't need the down pad on this, because the controller I'm using is actually, like, I have 3 controllers in my room. One's got a broken square button, a broken R2, a broken fucking L2, a fucking broken L1, a broken X, but the D-pad works perfectly fine. It's also got a broken left analog. You know, and I've been playing with that one, but it gets a little annoying fucking around with the analog stick. Like, it can put up with all the other shit. But then on this controller, or on the other controller, the left click run analog doesn't work at all. And on this one, everything works except the down D-pad. So. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was not ready, sir. Display name is fine. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, a black screen. That's nice. Yeah, that's a problem. Oh, here we go. Update successfully. Great. They're already releasing hot fixes. Updating playlists. That's nice. Loading message of the day. Nobody gives a fuck. Come on, Activision. This is actually why, you know, just they need to be owned by like Microsoft or somebody, because, you know, Activision is so busy screwing around having their what do they call it, Bill Cosby suite, which is fucking disgusting. That they haven't even bothered making sure their games work properly. But I don't want to do all that, whatever the fuck that is. Okay, I want to play Modern Warfare 2. What? Come on, really? I have to download a multiplayer pack? Are you fucking kidding me? This should have been included in the game. I'm literally on a fucking disc right now. Are you fucking mental? So, yeah, that's a fucking problem. 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 So it doesn't even at the very least have basic multiplayer. You have to install a whole fucking file after having to already wait for 2 or 3 fucking hours to install a file just to get the game to even turn on. There's another file on top of that. What the fuck is the disc for then? Is it just a fucking like what? What is this shit, man? Come on, man. Really? Alright, well, yeah, I guess everybody's gonna sit through this for fucking X amount of time. I'll probably put in the description a time frame when, everybody's. Whenever fucking Activision stops dicking around. This is not a good first impression either. I don't remember having to do this shit with Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare, at the very least, had like the gunfights so that you could play and get used to the game while you're waiting. Here, instead, you're just gonna sit through a bunch of fucking shit. Alright, well, I might as well just read a bunch of news. Stockton adding teeth to ordinance banning homeless from camping nearly everywhere, which is quite frankly bullshit. It's not going to do anything. The homeless aren't camping somewhere because they're fucking, wanting to camp somewhere. It's because, well, they got nowhere else to fucking go. They were downtown and underneath highways where nothing could possibly happen. Nothing that they did. Like, if their camp burned down, it wouldn't burn down the highway or anything. Let's see. I understand it. Let's see. Essentially, it specifically names where homeless people or anyone else are not allowed to camp. It includes waterways, public and private buildings, sloughs, rivers, and sidewalks. Okay, I can understand the sidewalks and I can understand the waterways and the private buildings. That's fair enough. The sloughs and the rivers, those I can understand. But like public areas, like if they're at a fucking park, what the fuck does that matter? People must stay 30 feet away from critical infrastructure or people are actually able to move people around. I guess if you're trespassing. Let's see. What else is going on in the world today? Barnes and Nobles, gotta hate us, people who don't. Barnes and Nobles employees complaining about people reading their books and not actually buying the book. Heavy-handed programs designed to protect us are also causing collateral damage, according to Kotaku an article. Let's see. Aimbots, ball hacks, auto clickers, overrun by cheaters. I actually never really understood the auto clicker, guys. It's like, yeah, sure, you can fire your pistol like it's an automatic, sure, you can use a fucking scroll wheel and, triple fire a fucking double barrel shotgun or some shit. But at the end of the day, even with your little trigger hacks, you still suck. You're not actually good. You're actually like one of the worst players I see because it's like you can fire a pistol that fast, but you can't fucking hit anything. Let's see, to declare. Kotaku has the worst fucking articles ever. Some idiot has invented a new form of THC, and of course, there's no laws on it yet. Let's see, what is this? What looks like pot, acts like pot, but is legal nearly everywhere. Hemp derived Delta 9 THC. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, you know, so a little science for you. THC and the brain stimulus is, it's a compound basically. It's what's found in marijuana and everything. It's what you react to that's getting you high. It's the word is, I want to say, carboroid, um, carbaroid, something along the lines of that. And so, it's a three-part carbaroid, and your brain actually has receptors to it, and the receptors get a positive stimulus. For some people, it's more intense than it is for others, and it's actually a natural stimuli. And so those, THC as a whole is not a bad thing. It's actually, some people are actually allergic to it, but some people are allergic to, tree nuts or some things like that. Well, for some people, the THC can cause a positive stimuli that, makes them more alert, or, allows them to retain knowledge or other things. When I was a teenager, I used to smoke pot. I don't now because I'm trying to get corporate jobs and that sort of thing. But one of the things that cropped up in recent years, I'm sure, it barely cropped up when I was in my teens, but it's this stuff called K12 or Carbaroid 12. And so it is a synthetic designer drug that's became first popular in prisons where they couldn't really get marijuana, and so it's one carbaroid. It's not the full compound. It's just one, and so it will usually come in a spray or something to that extent, and spray paper with it and consume it. Well, the problem with the one carbaroid by itself and not as a compound was first meant to be designed um, as a medical device. Basically, it's meant to be used as a medical substance to, for experimentation and to see if they can create a substance that might help people with Alzheimer's or seizures or even epilepsy. Some of the things that, by the way, THC can actually help you with. Well, the problem with K12 is it's not very good for any of those things. It does cause people to get high, and not only does it cause people to get high, it also actually causes psychoactive rage and hallucination. It can actually cause seizures, and what was the other one? There's one other symptom of it too, insanity. That was the last one. Like, it can actually cause a full on episode of various nature. Some of it can be insomnia, some of it can be, a psychosis or some of the things. So prisoners would, get their hands on K12. They get their hand on a little spray ball and go spray paper and eat the paper, or they would, spray it in their mouth directly. Uh, and then have a violent altercation. It's a synthetic chemical that's meant to stimulate a certain part of the brain. The same receptors that pick up THC pick up on K12. The problem is K12 is very negative and very destructive, whereas THC can be very positive. For some people, K12 can't really be positive. So when I read about an article that is you know, a separation of THC so that it's just one carbaroid instead of the compound of carbaroids, uh, I'm a little skeptical because K12 and other much more negative, impacting chemicals have had such a negative effect. I'm a little skeptical of something that's separated. There was another one that was actually like that, where it picks up on the THC receptors. In our brain, the receptors that are sensitive to THC are also sensitive to MDA. Now, MDA kind of needs no introduction because it's a very heinous drug, and actually, if you have ever used it on somebody, I hope you burn in hell, if there is a hell, because MDA, as you know, is the date rape drug. Uh, Absolutely fucking terrible. So that's actually another example of a synthetic chemical made to target certain receptors of the brain. Uh, but I guess some guy has made THC Delta 9. Let's see. Reading. He wants it regulated like alcohol, which, to be fair, that's not an unfair regulation because, alcohol can have very adverse effects in some individuals. My case doesn't really have so much of an adverse effect. I drink a beer here and there, but other people, it destroys their entire lives. So, you know, but so that's not an unfair request that alcohol and marijuana and THC and other things of that sort, THC Delta 9 or vape or cigarettes or any of those things are regulated all the same. That's actually pretty reasonable, but as far as health benefits or how safe it is, you could say I'm skeptical. It's almost like Mother Nature had this perfect thing that humans have been doing for hundreds of years, if not thousands. George Washington very much was smoking weed. Okay, and it's not really the best of ideas to interact or fault with that. There have been positive and negative things like how we measure nutrition and what nutrition we take has advanced and evolved far beyond even just in the past couple of years. Like the days of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger was when he was a young lad and he was a bodybuilder. He was amazing because you had some people that were really really strong. You had the strong man. But Arnold was really strong, but he was also really really cut, and that was a very hard thing to achieve. Nowadays, however, you can literally download an app that'll help you keep track of every nutrient and everything that you need, down to neuroscience of how much potassium, how much magnesium or zinc or things that you need in order to get the same result. So the latency gap, I'll call it, from amateur to pro has gotten smaller and smaller, where it's become even more of a competition to where more people can get into it. Whereas before you had to, it was a craftsman thing where you couldn't learn. Now I will say the quality has gone down in some cases where it's just like you look at other guys and it's like, yeah, not really Arnold ripped. That guy is much more ripped than me, but at the same time too, though, then you got the other side of it where we've messed with nature in such a way that people used to have perfect dental. People used to not have cavities. They wouldn't have teeth rot. That wasn't really a thing. Um, you can actually look into history and articles and when things are written, and you can actually place exactly when tooth rot and decay became a real problem. That was right around the same time that refining sugar and cane sugar came about. uh, people's lifespans were on the rise, and modern science has extended that. But we have also come to the conclusion that if you remove sugar and carbs from people's diets completely, it's been done in animals, it's been done in flies, it's been done in people. There's a whole keto diet about it. That their lifespan actually increases by about 33%. That's a whole third. A dog, for example, if a dog lives 10 years, the dog might live 13 years. It's pretty impressive on that. But, to eat 13,000 carbs, something like King Henry, who was an absolute fat bastard, uh, you know, he ate 13,000 carbs on a regular basis, and, his body was horrendous, and they couldn't even get his body out of the castle. Like, he was that fat. He was like Fat Albert fat, but without the benefit. Um, you know, Back in the day, that was like 14 raw chicken. So that was like 14 chickens, two whole pigs, six baked pies, and like just an entire buffet line table. But now, if I eat a Big Mac from McDonald's and have a small Coke with it, uh, and a packet of ketchup, and a small fry, that's already 500 calories. So to get to 13,000 calories, if I just essentially eat 26 Big Macs, which is not very hard to do. Another example is, if I eat 14, caramel McFrappe, large size caramel McFrappes, which is also not actually a hard thing to do. Uh, 3 Big Macs and a quarter pounder with extra cheese and 2 hash browns. That would be about 13,000 calories. I might be a little off on that. It also, of course, depends on a variety of factors and regional. Because believe it or not, McDonald's won't tell you this. But some burgers are smaller in other places than they are elsewhere. Like in the Philippines, a giant, huge, fucking McDonald's cheeseburger is just not going to sell it. They see it as excessive. You know, if I eat an entire, if I eat 12 donuts of Krispy Kreme, which, I think I cut myself off at about 2 or 3. If I eat 3 Krispy Kreme donuts, that's 900 calories. Each one of those is 300 calories. So 300 calories back in the day used to be like the entirety of what a monk might eat right around the times that they're eating. They were also doing intermittent fasting where they were only eating certain things, like only eating fish and only eating certain times of hours a day, only eating to a certain extent. There were monks that got around it, but there were other monks who were very strict about what they eat. So they were intermittent fasting, and then eating 300 calories a day. They would be eating like ham and mashed potatoes and peas and gravy, um, and it would be like a full size plate, and that whole entire plate that was a reasonably sized meal would be 300 calories. Now one fucking donut is 300 calories. So you know, our ability to mess with Mother Nature has really ruined how we diet. A banana is actually another example. Banana back in the day, was this kind of thing that was almost the size of like a squash. It was the size of a squash, and not only was it the size of a squash, it had seeds in the middle of it, which you know was something you'd have to split open, roast, and eat with a spoon because it wasn't entirely soft. It would have almost a fibrous texture to it. It was almost like if you tried to eat a raw potato, it'd be kind of a little too crunchy and fibrous. But once you heat it up a little bit, it softened. So those sort of banana yuccas or banana in the same banana genus that you can't really find anymore. You might see them actually more in like Fallout New Vegas, funny enough. But eating one of those was like, actually about 15 calories, maybe about 3 to 6 carbs. Um, Now, if you eat a normal, regular, from the grocery store, yellow potassium banana, you're looking at about 90 calories, about 8 carbs, and so much of sugar. It's been modified and bred in such a way that's more tasty and more appetizing and easier to eat. But the cost of that is the nutrient value is much declined. So then there's the chickens are another example. If you go to the grocery store right now and buy a chicken breast, think of that chicken breast that you buy as being bigger the entire size of a chicken in the 1920s. Chickens have also been modified to an extent that's just absurd. Nowadays, if you eat a cupcake, is a lot of sugar and everything. We know that it's not healthy for you. But if you eat an apple of the same size of the cupcake, it's the same amount of sugar as that cupcake. Whereas back in, like the 17, 1800s, around that area, if you ate an apple twice the size of your average cupcake, it would still only have 1/10 the amount of sugar as that cupcake. So, and then here's the other thing: is apples actually are kind of a weird fruit too, because the problem with apples is each apple you eat nowadays is a clone. So, people hear the story of Johnny Appleseed, and Johnny Appleseed was a real guy. Um, Johnny Appleseed is rich and famous, but here's the thing: is he would come up knocking on your door, and he would be barefoot, and he would have like a coonskin cap and no shirt, and he would look like a homeless vagrant. Okay, but he was wealthy. You wouldn't let a homeless vagrant in your house. And you're over on the West Coast, and you're like a cowboy farmer who wanted to get away from the riffraff city life. And now here's this guy knocking on your door. You're not going to let him in for an apple. That's just not a thing. You're not going to let him in for applesauce either. But the thing with apples is you can do a variety of things with apples. You can make apple cider vinegar. Well, what is a vinegar? A vinegar is when you let alcohol spoil. The other thing you can do with apples is you can take apples, you can let them ferment and rot, and you get a mash. Now, that mash will be kind of sour in flavor. What has a sour mash? Sour mash is a term, a word that gets thrown around. You can go look at your black label if you got a bottle of, I think it was what, Johnny Walker, Jack Daniels. That was it. That's a sour mash. Now, their sour mash might be derived from something different, but that's a form of sour mash. So no, Johnny Appleseed would, knock on your door, and you'd be out in the countryside. You wouldn't, have supplies. You wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store whenever you want, because that would be like a all day trip where you might get robbed and murdered by bandits. This dude would knock on your door, and he'd have a bottle of booze, and all he would want to do is just come in and have a meal and maybe sleep and share his whiskey with you. So, but as Johnny Appleseed was doing this, he was coming along through these lands and buying up chunks of land, and he was, doing a certain process of growing where you don't start from the bare seed of an apple tree, because it would take years and years and years to grow an apple tree. It takes years and years and years to grow a fruit tree. I get this all the time when I'm working in a garden and somebody wants to start growing fruits. They expect to do it, next spring or some shit. And it's like, no, it's going to take you, like an avocado is going to take you 13 years before you even see one single fruit of avocado that you can actually consume. It's producing fruits and vegetables is not a young man's game. It's something you start as a young man, and by the time you're an old man, you'll maybe get to pass on a small farm to the younger generation. It's a art, and it's an art form in itself of time and patience. But anyways, Johnny Appleseed used the other method, which is called cloning. So this is, there's many different forms of cloning. If you take a tree that's a citrus tree and you graft grapefruit, lemons, limes, and oranges to that tree, that's actually considered a form of cloning. Yes, that tree will grow all those, but he wasn't starting from scratch to start up his little, apple trees. He was cloning his trees, so that might be splitting them in some way that he could grow from the tree. If you cut off a branch and manage to get it to grow its own roots, you essentially have another tree. Well, there's two problems. You can still breed these and get them to get more desirable traits, but each clone is going to taste worse than the original. So if you've ever eaten an apple and felt it tasted like shit, well, guess what? That's because it actually does. If you eat an apple and it feels like, oh, it doesn't taste as good as it used to, it's because it actually doesn't. That's an actual thing. Is they've cloned it so many times, and each time they clone it, the quality goes down. So they can breed for all the desirable traits that they want, like sugar and sweetness, and every time they come up with a new species, they're going to clone the shit out of it, and that species is going to taste worse. And you're actually seeing that with Fiji apples. Fiji's apples, when they first came out into California and everything, they were delicious. Now I won't even touch an apple. Red Delicious apples back in Johnny Seed's day, that was the apple he was using, and they were actually delicious. They were wonderful. Now they're terrible. They don't taste very good. They're not very popular. Some grocery stores and retailers have even stopped carrying them. Honeycrisp for the longest time was my favorite apple because it's just so sweet. And now when I eat Honeycrisp, it tastes like cardboard. It actually has more sugar than it used to when when I first discovered Honeycrisp and was eating those. When I first ate a Honeycrisp apple, it had like about 100 and, you know, 10 milligrams of sugar. Now it's got about 190, but it doesn't taste as sweet as it used to. It's been cloned so many times now that the quality's gone down. So, but if you're trying to make a booze, on the other hand, I'm sure you notice like all the IPAs. You got Red's Angry Orchard Ale, and Mike's Hard Lemonade. All those are coming out the wazoo because when you're trying to make something alcoholic, it doesn't matter how many times you clone something, because the alcohol that you get from your cloned fruit will still taste just as good because it's a refinery process. The refinery process is letting something rot, and letting that that material, uh, that bacteria will eat at your stuff, and the byproduct that it spits out when it's eating the sugar is alcohol. Now, alcohol has the same effect on the liver as sugar, by the way. So if you're eating a bunch of sugar, you're going to damage your liver. If you're eating a bunch of alcohol, you're going to, damage your liver. But Johnny Appleseed, was cloning apples, and so these apples taste like crap, but they have more and more sugar. The more sugar they have, the easier it is to make alcohol. There's actually, in some fruits and varieties, they don't have enough sugar yet for whatever reason for a particular alcohol, and so sugar will have to be added so that the bacteria doesn't die off. Um, but as a result of, this process of cloning something and then breeding it for desirable traits like more sugar and taste, has resulted in something that's not as healthy as it used to be. In fact, there's probably somebody much brighter and smarter than me that talks about it, Kvass and all that. I know there was a book called The Art of Fermentation that I never got around to buying or reading. But it's interesting history there. But yeah, no. When we mess with things with Mother Nature, whether it's a carbaroid oil like K12 or even food, uh, kind of playing a dangerous game. We might learn and understand things better, and it might be to our benefit, but we also have a tendency to be self-destructive in that regard. This fucking installation process is taking forever. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let's see. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 under fire for controversial campaign scene. Now available in early access player. Blah blah blah. Infinity Ward. Huh. Okay, so the controversial scene is what? Hold right click to de-escalate civilians. What? Well, wouldn't it be actually left trigger? Let me see.
Wait, hold. What? Wait, that's how you de-escalate? Stop! You de-escalate by aiming at them?
Yeah, no. No, you're not gonna de-escalate nothing. Uh, they should have, like, they can just go talk to a police officer in California and find out just how well it de-escalates things. Like, yeah, no, you know, California is actually known for being gun free, and it's not. If you walk into a neighborhood and aim your weapon at somebody, it's going to be more of the attitude of the gangbangers are all going to come out, and somebody's, you start aiming weapons, and they just might start shooting, and somebody just might die that night. That's a good way, and I'm noticing in that video actually that that's a Texas flag. Texas, a lot of guns and a lot of very anti-government, very vocal anti-government people. Most of the people that stormed around on January 6th were from Texas. That's not to say that Texas is a bunch of, conservative hoo-haws, because there's certainly plenty Looney Tunes in California here, and I'm sure there's some in various other states as well. But yeah, a government guy, soldier or not, aiming their gun at a civilian, an unarmed civilian, is a government guy that's basically asking to be shot by the neighbor. That's not de-escalating anything. That's Activision thinks they know how guns work, and they really don't. Oh, let's see. What is this one? At least 151 killed in Seoul. I never could pronounce that city. Somebody will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. Halloween crowd surge. At least 150 people killed. Crowd surge packed Halloween festivals in South Korea. 19 foreign nationals are among the dead. Let's see, victims include people from Iran, which is, no, that's not good. Norway's kind of understanding. China and yeah, no, China's gonna make a big fuss about it. And Uzbekistan, however you say that. I'm not even gonna pretend to be familiar with that country. The crush took place in nightlife district, what caused the crush is not clear, but witnesses say partygoers had been packed tightly in district's narrow streets, and it was difficult to move around. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol. I'm sorry, that's funny sounding to me. Has declared a period of national mourning. Well, sorry to hear that. Gotham Knights is kind of mid and average. Yeah, that's not surprising. Let's see. Microsoft says Xbox price increases after coming holidays. Well, it sucks to be you all, because I already bought my Xbox Series X. Potential Steam feature would be a godsend to users with data caps or slow internet. What is it? Oh, it's a, okay. Yeah. Resident Evil Villages DLC is satisfactory but sparse edition, according to PC Gamer. That one's an interesting one. Fallout 4 is finally getting updated graphics on PS5. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has exclusive benefits. That's not surprising. They keep doing that for some reason. Elon Musk actually did buy Twitter, by the way, which is both good and bad. Fired Twitter CFO. Huh. The good news with, uh, you know, Lizard Man, I will call him, buying Twitter. You can say whatever you want to say on Twitter. The bad news is you can say whatever you want to say on Twitter. So, you know, it's twofold. You can talk about adult subjects without fear now and reputiny, but I'm sure some racist is going to also come and comment on your tweet and spout his horrendous crap. But I mean, you know, it should be up to the individual's desire to block that person. It should not be the fall behind of Twitter, with the exceptions of, like, you know, death threats or something. You know, I wonder how a member of this community is going to feel about this one. I'm just going to read the title, because this is one of those things where I hear kind of conflicting ideas when it comes to this sort of topic. California reparations pushback could give black residents hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's what they say they would do with it. Which, you know, if you get hundreds of thousands of dollars from the government, by the way, good for you. You know, fuck them. What are they doing with the tax dollars that, you know, they keep pulling out of everything? They're not fixing potholes. You know, they're not fixing the roads. They're not fixing anything, really. There's crumbling infrastructure all around. They're just, like, what, pocketing so they can buy themselves a fancy ham sandwich, spend, you know, thousands of dollars. My grocery bill for an entire month is only about $200 to $400, and these guys are eating a ham sandwich that costs $1,000. Like, bullshit. So, you know, I'm not opposed to somebody who happens to get lucky, win, you know, money back, either as reparations, legitimate reparations, or as just a political talking point. Like with, you know, some of the things like the gas one. Let's see. Keisha Brown, 49, children of 5, says family struggling. Oh, so she's just going to use it towards rent, and she's going to use it responsibly. Good for her. Let's see. So if California becomes the first state nationwide, possibly hundreds of thousands. You know, my only question is, where's this money going to come from? Are they just going to, you know, rip it from the middle class like they do, and then turn around and blame the lower class? Or how about we, you know, take this money from the rich white assholes in Beverly Hills, because, you know, they could very much foot the bill. 1.8 million residents are descendants of enslaved persons. That's, wow, I did not realize that was that big a figure. That's one of those things where it's like, it makes sense when you actually think about it and read that fact. It's not one of those things that you think about in a day-to-day life. Reparations based on, okay, based on a racial wealth gap of $36,000. Okay. And based on the value of certain state level harms, about 230,000. I'm just giving the rough numbers. I'm not giving the exact number. Disproportionate mass of 124,000. Mass incarceration 127,000. That's huh. I don't know about that second statistic. What that one's trying to say. Kind of gives some validity to one of my arguments. Is people are like, oh, black people are getting arrested more often than white people. It's like, yeah, well, the economic gap kind of tends to do that, doesn't it? Poor people steal things. How about that? You know, but there's going to be two arguments that are going to crop up from that. The racist asshole people that have been saying, oh, this group gets arrested more than the other group are going to now start using this as a rhetoric to further push that saying. And then, the other side of the argument is going to be people like me where it's like, yeah, okay, good. You give them that money. Maybe crime will go down. But, maybe it won't. Whatever. But it's clear we haven't been using money for anything else noteworthy. See, a worker manipulates meddling micromanager into nailing their own mark. Yeah, no. Well, it's just compliance. Always fun to watch as a video as background noise. Hasbro reveals official picks, pre-orders live. Oh, wow, whole bunch of different toys. Some of them are really detailed and really well done, and some of them are just generic children's toys. Shannon Sharp feels growing resentment towards Russell Wilson. No surprise there. Wendy's Frosty flavor coming in for Wednesday. The holidays. Let's see. If it's not eggnog, I'm gonna be really fucking disappointed. They have a mozzarella chicken sandwich. Italian mozzarella cheeseburger sounds delicious. Ooh, they got garlic fries now. That's kind of cool. Peppermint Frosty. I like the strawberry Frosty. I tried that one. It was actually good. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was good. Well, let's see. We're like an hour in and this stupid fucking thing is still downloading. But they're gonna have a peppermint Frosty now, apparently. Saudi ruler Obama Biden, just kidding. Dan Solomon seeks to humiliate Biden as part of power play. What power play is that? Just invite Biden and let him open his fucking mouth and he'll humiliate himself. Just like Trump did when he visited North Korea and fumbled poorly. Let's see, what else is there? I've made 178 videos. I have 66 subscribers. More about this channel. There's nothing more. Huh. Playlist analytics, about settings. No, I didn't want to watch my own video. I'm not a narcissistic douche nugget. I can't believe I have almost 200 videos now. Oldest one I have dates back to 4 years. Duel Links. Dragon of Spirit White Bed Stain is broken. I forgot about that title. Oh yeah, Glow Moss. Let's see. Oh, here's that video from 3 years ago where I talk about SNESfun.com. It's a little website. You can go on. It's SNESfun.com or whatever, and you can play all the Super Nintendo video games on there. And then there's actually a little bar in like the left corner, and you can click on it, and it has like their different websites for like Sega Genesis, for regular Nintendo, and it's all online emulators, and you can access it from your computer, or you can even download the emulator right to your computer too. Um, Fun website. You know, you get to play some of the old classics. Like every once in a while, I'll get bored and I'll hop on there and go play ActRaiser. You know, if you're concerned about viruses or something, you know, just use a good VPN. Or you know, if you're like, you can use Puffin. If you pay for Puffin Premium on your phone, it's only like $1.99 to get it, and you have it forever. Or you can even use like the Brave app, or DuckDuckGo is another good one. And all of those will, you know, actually protect your computer from malware and shit. China's youth revolt. Blah, blah, blah. El Captain's looks like he off of 2077 looks like a fucking goober. Looks like a dork. Oh, I get it. It's a picture of a shotgun going off, but it says Left 4 Dead 2, don't shoot, I shot the boomer. That's funny. Well, this is an hour of nothing, and I will accordingly adjust the video to state such. I'm going to end this video at an hour, and yeah, that's it. Boom, done. The next video will be hopefully me actually playing this game. Hopefully.